at the crossroads between life and death, for men found themselves in an unknown land. Their names were Jim, Ron, Mike, and Dave. Each had lived their own lives, with their joys and sorrows, but on this night, their paths crossed. They found themselves on a wide, paved road leading them into the unknown. Initially, they walked together, sharing their fears and hopes, until they reached a fork in the road. Two paths lay before them, one to the left and one to the right. Pondering their choices, they stopped, and a man in white appeared before them. "Welcome, friends," he said. "Before you is the road to your new home. One path leads to heaven, where unimaginable beauty awaits, and the other path leads to hell, where horror, despair, and hopelessness reside. But you are not permitted to know which path leads where. You will go on either road you choose, but keep in mind that you can return at any moment until you reach the gates of hell or heaven. If you end up in hell, you will remain there. But do not be afraid if this happens. Each of you will still receive what you deserve." The man disappeared. The travelers were astonished by such conditions. Where had it ever been heard that the road to heaven or hell was chosen at random? But there was nothing they could do. Jim drew the lot and, without hesitation, turned right because the word right was associated with something correct and true. He walked briskly along the road but soon stopped as he was frightened by the roar of wild beasts. The clouds thickened, blocking out the sun, and the ground shook beneath his feet. Jim was terribly scared, thought he had chosen the wrong path, and turned back. He ran to the fork and told the other three what he had seen, thoroughly scaring them. Next, Ron decided to go. He firmly resolved not to return and walked briskly along the right path, ignoring the terrifying roar of wild beasts, storm clouds, and the trembling ground beneath his feet. At one point, the sky cleared, and he saw an incredibly beautiful place ahead, filled with peace and tranquility. He assumed this was heaven and stayed there. Seeing that Ron had not returned, Dave also decided to go. He did not know the fate of Ron. Perhaps he had been eaten by wild animals along the right path, so Dave chose the left path. He moved forward despite the frightening signs. The roar of wild beasts, storm clouds, and ominous lightning. Finally, he came to a place where a dirty sign reading "Hell" stuck out from the ground. The road behind him disappeared, leaving him no chance to retreat. Before Dave lay a bleak, gloomy, dark, and cold valley, completely unfit for life. People lived there in small, shabby huts, always trembling in fear of being torn apart by wild beasts, attacked by bandit gangs, or getting stuck in the swamps. Dave learned from the local residents that the land was cursed even by the devil himself. Dave thought about the situation and promised himself, "I will not retreat from the chosen path. Wherever I go, I will try to adapt. I refuse to listen to the locals' intimidating tales and their cries of hopelessness, and I will not take it on faith that this land is cursed by the devil. Inside me is peace and tranquility. My conscience is clear. So why should there be hell outside?" These thoughts gave him confidence, and he called on the locals to stop trembling in fear and try to change their living conditions. That a handful of people listened to Dave and followed him. The rest feared it would get worse than it already was. With a small group of followers, Dave set about draining the swamps, building new bright homes, planting gardens, fending off bandit gangs, and taming wild beasts. The most doubtful soon joined them, seeing so many wonderful changes. In time, the city grew and flourished, and everything around breathed beauty and peace. Then Dave went to the gates, removed the hell sign, and put up another one that read, "Heaven." As soon as he did this, a new fork appeared before him, and the man in white asked him, "Do you already know what you need to do now?" "I think I have to choose the road again," Dave replied. "That's right," the man in white said. "Before you make a choice, will you tell me what happened to your three companions?" The man replied, "Ron immediately ended up in heaven, a place very similar to what you created yourself. However, he regrets not taking part in its creation and not contributing to its prosperity. He would like to do something himself, and once his desire becomes strong enough, he will be offered the choice of a new road. Most likely, he will be given the opportunity to turn hell into heaven himself. just as you did. As for Jim and Mike, they are now in real hell because they are paralyzed by fear and continue to flounder at the fork. What lies ahead for me? Dave asked another question. Uncertainty, said the man in white. This answer both frightened and gladdened Dave. He nodded and confidently walked down the road to the right. The crossroads of life and death. Each chooses their own path. Some fear and flounder in fear, some seek the easy way, and some overcome all obstacles and turn hell into heaven with their own hands. Ultimately, the true meaning of the path is determined not by its beginning or end, but by how we walk it and what we leave behind. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Leave your comments and share this video with your friends. See you next time.